As of today, students, we have discussed about the ferrous foundry techniques. As I said earlier, the foundry is a place where the casting process is done. Okay, that is the concept of foundry process. So as of now, we have discussed about the ferrous foundry techniques. So right from the beginning, we have discussed about patterns, cores, and gating systems. These are all the elements of the foundry processes, and the ingredients such as in a sand molding, most precisely talking, in the sand molding technique we have considered different sands, that is green sand, its properties we have studied, and that was followed by binders and additives, the significance and importance of having binders and additives in sand molding processes and its importance, and we have discussed, and different terminologies associated with this particular process we have discussed. Then we have switched over to the second module. We have discussed about the melting furnaces, that is the most inevitable part of this particular practices. So here in the melting furnace we have discussed different fuels being used to change the phase from the solid to liquid phase. That liquid molten metal is poured into the mold cavity. Then after solidification process, by providing all possible alloyances and by designing the cavity as per the standards, we can get the product called cast. And the next concept we have discussed in this particular one is the in this ferrous foundry methods, from ferrous foundry practices. So in the next concept we will be studying the non-ferrous foundry practices, the non-ferrous foundry practices. Then what actually the meaning of non-ferrous? So just foundry practices right now. So our intention is to concentrate on non-ferrous foundry practices. Then what is non-ferrous foundry? Except iron, all metals are non-ferrous. Except iron, all metals are non-ferrous. Say for example, the premium metals like precious metals like gold, silver, then platinum, titanium, and these are all non-ferrous in nature. But you cannot have a gold or silver or some platinum. You are not supposed to cast that particular metals, because these metals like non-ferrous metals like copper, zinc, then aluminum, magnesium, these are all the non-ferrous metals that could be cast. Okay, so these are all the non-ferrous metals that can be cast. Okay, you cannot have gold or silver or another one is platinum. These are all that particular metals are premium and non-ferrous in nature, but you cannot cast that particular metals. So here the copper, zinc, aluminum, magnesium are the most feasible metals, that is non-ferrous cast metals that could be used for foundry practices. So as far as your VTU syllabus is concerned, they have mentioned only the aluminum casting methods, that is non-ferrous foundry practices. We are only concentrating on aluminum. The foundry characteristics such as melting and pouring, these are two important parameters. So the ground rule is the pouring temperature is always be greater than the melting temperature. Then the next one is in the pouring parameter, you have got different classification, that is pouring temperature one has to monitor, then height of the mold cavity, that is the difference in between the pouring point to the mold cavity, that is standoff distance one has to monitor, and pouring time one has to concentrate on, so that you can get the most optimum cast with a less cast defect. Okay, that is all the foundry characteristic that should possess. This non-ferrous cast metal should possess the melting and pouring foundry characteristics. Then the next property we need to look into is the physical properties, that is melting point, density and atomic weight. Then the one more the characteristics that is demanding in the non-ferrous foundry technique is the chemical nature. So the affinity to oxygen, the affinity to oxygen one has to concentrate on, then the reactivity of that particular cast non-ferrous cast metals, then the non-ferrous cast metals tendency to dissolve gases like nitrogen and hydrogen, that is the one more point to be considered. Okay. So, let us have the brief tabulation of the non-ferrous cast metals and its important properties. We have tabulated here. Let us take up the first non-ferrous cast metal, that is magnesium. So, that is the symbol is the Mg. So, the density, that is put it in the gram per centimeters cube. So, the density of the magnesium is 1.74 gram per centimeter cube. The melting point is 651 degrees Celsius. Then the properties of the magnesium is the lightweight in nature, and it has got good high temperature mechanical strength, in the sense it is going to retain the mechanical properties in the higher temperature also. Okay. Then the second non-ferrous cast metal is aluminum. The symbol is Al. The density is 2.7 gram per centimeter cube, and melting point of the aluminum is 663 degrees Celsius. Then the properties is it has got the high strength to weight ratio. So, high strength to weight ratio, for the very lesser weight it has got a higher strength. Okay. Then it is possessing the resistance to oxidation. So, the affinity to what you call the dissolve with oxygen, the react with oxygen is very less when compared to other non-ferrous non-ferrous cast metals. And then the next metal is titanium. Its density is 4.5 gram per centimeter cube. Then the melting point is 1668 degrees Celsius. When compared to other two non-ferrous cast metals, this melting temperature is very high. Hence, it is going to possess the fatigue strength, higher fatigue strength. So, then after repeated cycle of loading, it does not feel any fatigue. Then it is possessing the higher or excellent corrosion resistance and high melting temperature. Okay. Then the next one is the copper. The symbol is Cu, and its density is 8.94 gram per centimeter cube, and the melting point is 1083 degrees Celsius, and by virtue of this it is going to possess the good thermal and electrical conductivity. Then it also possesses the wear and excellent wear and corrosion resistance properties. So, these are all the different non-ferrous cast metals and its properties. Okay. Then you got the idea what actually the difference between ferrous and non-ferrous cast metals. Okay. Ferrous and non-ferrous cast metals. Okay. Then we can look into the aluminum non-ferrous cast metal, and what are all the advantages of this particular non-ferrous cast metals and limitations of non-ferrous cast metals. Then what are all the what could be the melting furnaces could be applied to have the non-ferrous foundry practices. Then then you will be learning the different techniques and methods involved in the non-ferrous foundry practices. So, let us take up the first segment, that is the advantages of non-ferrous cast metal, that is precisely on the aluminum. Okay. We are not concentrating on the magnesium or titanium or copper, we are concentrating on the aluminum non-ferrous cast metals. Since this particular non-ferrous cast metal is mentioned in your syllabus, we are only restricting our lecture on the aluminum. So, let us take the first segment, that is advantages of aluminum casting. What are all the advantages of having aluminum in casting process? The first one is it is going to possess high strength to weight ratio. That is the beauty of this particular aluminum metal. Okay. Then the second one is it is going to possess low melting temperature. So, whenever the low melting temperature come into picture, the design of melting furnaces, selection of melting furnaces and its parameters are almost negligible, or you can give less importance for this one. And since this aluminum has got the melting temperature of 663 degrees Celsius, then 663 degrees Celsius, then the electrical furnace is preferable. Once you prefer the electrical furnace, the pollution related problems could be easily eliminated in an industry. Okay, that is the concept of low melting temperature. That is the one more advantages. Then the third advantage is corrosion resistance. So that is the one more advantages of having aluminum in casting process, that is corrosion resistance. Then the fourth advantage is non-toxicity. So since this possess non-toxicity property, then it could be used for home manufacturing of home appliances. Okay. Then the next advantage is this particular non-ferrous cast metals could be recyclable. This can be, it has got the ability to recycle the metals, that is the recycle ability. That is the one more advantages of having aluminum in casting process. Then the next segment is limitations of this aluminum casting. The first limitation is basically expensive in nature when compared to other non-ferrous foundry cast metals. This aluminum is costly and expensive. Then it is going to possess a poor wear resistance and abrasion properties. So whenever these two metal come in contact, then there could be a chance of wear and abrasion. So if this aluminum is, since the aluminum is possessing the poor wear resistance and abrasion, this is considered to be the one of the major limitation. The next topic is melting of aluminum alloys. So what all the equipment that could be employed to convert the phase from solid to liquid, since the liquid form of metal or alloys are required to make the casting process. So the important equipment is the furnace. The furnace is employed to convert the phase of the aluminum from the solid to liquid. So here we are considering the lift out type crucible furnace. Lift out type crucible furnace being employed to change the phase of aluminum from the solid to liquid. Let us see the important elements of this particular furnace. So this is the cover plate, this is refractory lining, then this is crucible, this is support structure, this is heat source, okay. So these are all the elements of the lift out type crucible furnace. So this particular crucible is made out of the clay and graphite. This basically refractory materials that is capable of withstanding the high temperature, and this temperature is derived from this particular heat source, that could be a oil or gas or electric. Okay, this heat is distributed over this particular surface, then the whole crucible is receiving the uniform heat, then that is capable of converting the phase from solid to liquid. This particular liquid, once it has reached to the melting point, the aluminum, as I said earlier, the aluminum has got the melting temperature of 663 degrees Celsius, then that particular temperature is not enough to process the further requirement. So we must increase the temperature beyond the melting point, and it has to reach the pouring temperature. So the ground rule is the melting temperature is always be greater than the pouring temperature. So here we need to provide the heat in such a way that it has to reach the pouring temperature. Once the aluminum has reached the pouring temperature, I mean it has changed the phase from solid to liquid and it has gained the pouring temperature point, then make use of tongs and all. You can lift the crucible and take the liquid aluminum and pour it to the mold cavity. Then after solidification you can take out the product. That is what the concept of the non-ferrous alloys, non-ferrous casting of alloys. So here the lift out type crucible furnace is being used to convert the phase from liquid to These are all the topics to be covered today in non-ferrous foundry practices. The first topic is hardeners used, then drawing, fluxing and flushing, then grain refining, then pouring temperature. Okay. So let us take up the first one, that is hardeners used in non-ferrous foundry practices. So since we have dealt with the aluminum casting, where it has got low melting point and it has this particular alloy is deficit with respect to hardness and its strength. In order to incorporate strength and hardness, we have to have the hardeners, so that we can improve the properties like hardness and strength in the aluminum alloys. Okay. So this is the hardness. Okay. So some hardness that is available here is cobalt, copper, chromium, magnesium, nickel, silicon, zirconium and more. Okay. So out of which the chromium is considered to be the more master hardener. Okay. So that is more compatible to have with the aluminum casting. So chromium melting point is about 1875 degree. The chromium melting temperature is 1875 degree. Okay. First we need to mix this chromium with the aluminum. So you are all aware that the aluminum melting temperature is around 650 to 670 degrees Celsius. Then what is the procedure to mix this hardness with the aluminum casting? So the procedure is very simple. First you heat the chromium or melt the chromium to its melting temperature of 1875 degrees Celsius. Then after it has reached to 1875 degrees Celsius, then you can readily pour the aluminum ingot into this particular one, so that is going to readily mix with the chromium. Okay. So the combination of this aluminum and chromium alloy is considered to be the master alloy. Once again I will repeat, the hardness, the function of the hardener is to incorporate hardness as well as the strength into the casting process. So these are all some different hardeners. So out of these hardeners, the chromium is considered to be the most feasible and compatible with respect to aluminum alloys. Okay. So the next concept is drawing. Drawing is basically a solid impurity that is floating on the molten metal. Okay. So once I will repeat, drawing is a impurity, solid impurity that is floating on the molten metal. Okay. So here by melting at a faster rate, so how it can be reduced? The drawing can be how it can be reduced. Okay. So impurities can be reduced by melting at faster rate. Okay. So impurities could be reduced by melting at faster rate than by protecting the molten metal. Okay, as it is readily reacts with the atmospheric air, we have to protect that particular molten metal so that the drawing could be reduced. Okay. Then you can add some fluxes like chlorine, fluorine, and that is going to react with the Al2O3, then that is help to recover the aluminum from this particular drawing method. Okay. This is the concept of drawing. Drawing is a solid impurity that is floating on the molten metal. Okay. That is the concept of drawing. Next concept is flushing. Flushing is a basic meaning of flushing is this is a process of pressurizing or sending the pressurized liquid to take out some impurities from the region of interest, that is called flushing. So here the intention behind having the flushing is to separate the dross or to separate the impurity from the aluminum alloy or the melting pool. Okay. Then the hydrogen gas dissolved in aluminum melt. So as you are all aware that the hydrogen gas is readily dissolved in the aluminum casting. That's why the intention is to reduce or the extract this dissolved hydrogen from the molten pool. Okay. That is the second intention. So it is going to flush from the molten that is going to flush this hydrogen gases, dissolved hydrogen gases from the molten pool to the atmosphere. Okay. That is the concept of flushing method. Okay. The next one is fluxing method. So this is the fluxing method. Just now we have discussed about this drawing where we used to have the fluxes like chlorine, fluorine and all. This is going to react with aluminum oxide, then that helps to recover the alumina from the molten pool. Okay. So here the acts as a barrier to prevent reaction of molten aluminum with atmospheric air. Okay. The intention is very simple, we need to protect the molten aluminum from the atmospheric air. Okay. Then it is going to absorb the impurities in the melt. Okay. So the dross that is coming in the molten or melting process, so that is going to absorb the impurities. That is the one of the function of the fluxing method.